Hi guys. Today I want to give you some insights into Rails system tests and my deep dive into the rabbit hole of fixing a Selenium Headless Chrome issue, which I think is related to the HTML dialog element. But first, let me give you some context. This chat app is as basic as it gets. Rails 8 authentication and a chat model with just a name, a chats controller with some turbo stream actions, a few stimulus controllers that handle CRUD actions, the main navigation, and the drawer, which is a dialog. It's 2025, and I was eager to dig into web accessibility, so the drawer and the main navigation are fully usable with the keyboard. For me, views like the chat index with turbo frames are kind of components. This view is usable and therefore testable on its own and can also be loaded, for example, inside the drawer. The chat's chat list controller handles Shift and Shift tab keys, as well as dispatching events that work together with the drawer. Now, let's have a look at the browser and turn theory into action. The Open Drawer button in the bottom left gets focus on load, so the user can just press Enter to open the sidebar. The Close button also gets focus, so the user can press Enter again to close it. And because it's a dialog, pressing Escape closes it by default. Using Tab, we navigate through the chat list. Pressing Enter triggers the link to the chat's edit view, which contains a turbo frame and replaces its content. The edit form, with its chat's chat edit controller, listens for Tab, Shift Tab, and Escape keys. So, the basic CRUD actions. There's also a small JavaScript utility that stores the currently focused element, so when you close and reopen the drawer, focus works as expected. The main navigation at the bottom right is navigable with the arrow keys. The main navigation works fine, and the tests pass. Now, let's switch back to the code and look at the tests for our keyboard navigation. Index, form edit, I think the controller and model are done. Let's close the app and head over to the test system folder. Authentication works fine. Chat tests too. In the application system test case, I switched back to using Chrome instead of Headless Chrome. The edit with keyboard test has the most tests, so let's see how they work. Sign in and visit should be self-explanatory. The keyboard navigation helper uses Send Keys tab repeatedly until it finds the right focus selector. We find the Edit Chat Link target, send Enter, and this replaces the turbo frame with our edit form. We check for the correct chat name in the form. Same goes for Blur, Tab, Shift Tab, and Escape. That being said, let's actually test this. Rails test /system chats. The test runs quickly. Amazing. System tests can be a lot of fun, but during development and debugging, they can be a pain in the, you know what I mean. After that user story, I moved on to writing tests for the chats inside the drawer. The drawer itself has 4 passing tests. Since the drawer has its own stimulus controller, I test them separately. Right now, the drawer is part of my dashboard, so the tests stay there until I create a dedicated drawer controller or move them to a better place. Step 1, me being lazy. I created Drawer CRUD Test, which is now called Drawer CRUD Crazy Test. I'll explain the name later. It had 5 tests, similar to the existing chat tests. The only difference, opening the drawer and asserting that it's actually open. With Selenium using Chrome, all tests passed. Great, I thought I was on a roll. Next, Drawer Chat List Test and Drawer Chat List Keyboard Test. Done. Confident that they would pass, I switched to Selenium with Headless Chrome and ran Rails Test System. All tests at once. Some passed. Suddenly, 90% of the drawer tests failed. They couldn't find the dialog. I tried running just the drawer tests by themselves. Still no luck. Tests that passed with Chrome failed with Headless Chrome, so I asked AI to help debug. Oh boy. I went so deep into the rabbit hole. The Drawer CRUD Crazy Test works together with Drawer Helper Crazy and Test Helper Crazy. Drawer Helper Crazy shows how desperate I was. Puts, screenshots, raise, execute script. What a mess. So many attempts to figure out why the drawer wasn't found, even though the screenshots of the failing tests showed an open drawer. What the heck? Crazy execute script hacks, Capybara options. I even installed Database Cleaner. Nothing worked. It took me 2 days to realize that, in about 90% of cases, the 5th test that opens a drawer was the one failing. Splitting those 5 tests into 5 separate files inside the dashboard/drawer/folder helped me notice that it was always the 5th open drawer causing problems. On the bright side, I now think it's a really good idea to have 1 test per file. Fun fact, if you run a file with 4 or fewer tests, they pass in Headless Chrome. But if you run multiple files with more than 3 or 4 tests, they fail. So now I run all test files one by one. Bash find test slash system dashboard slash name test.rb agrexen1 bin rails test. I call this my system dashboard nearly pass headless because the drawer CRUD squad crazy test with 5 tests still fails. But all other tests that use the open drawer helper in the drawer slash folder and the stimulus component drawer tests pass. I hope this helps someone. Greetings from Hamburg, Andy.